I'll give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yahuwah. In the name of Yahweh Mashiach. Lucas Kadash Shabbat. Pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, not the love of Allah in you. How come you receive me not? Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another and seek not the honor that comes from Allah only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses. If you believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. If you believe not his writings, I shall believe my words. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 11. All right, we talked about this Wednesday. I'm just going to reread it. He that loveth pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips, the king shall be his friend. We read that. He that loves a clean heart, of course, the favor of the lips of the king, he'll be friends with that. We'll deal with that second part in a moment. Let's read verse 12. Eyes of Yahuwah preserve knowledge. He over of the transgressor. So when you look at preserve, of course, that's Nasar. That is going to be something that you guard or keep watch over. So the eyes of Yahuwah guard knowledge. So pause. Let's just take a look at 2 Chronicles 16 on the strength, on general principle. When we're dealing about with the eyes of Yahuwah. So you can see what are the eyes of Yahuwah. Chronicles 16 and 9, actually. So, for the eyes of Yahuwah run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him. Well, what are the eyes of Yahuwah in that regard? You know that he has literal eyes. If you would, when we look at those eyes running to and fro throughout, I'm thinking something. It'll come to me in a moment after we finish. Getting can be able to make some mistakes now, wouldn't we? Genesis 19, actually. Even in Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face towards the ground. Let's back that up. Let's back it up at chapter 18. Pick it up at verse 20. Make sure that that's what I need. 18 and 20. And Yahuwah said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is grievous, I will go down now and see what they have done altogether to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if Sodom, for Abraham stood yet before Yahuwah. So when you look at the eyes of Yahuwah, I'm trying to recall the verses in my head, the words in Psalm 45. I want to say Psalm 45. I might not be. Psalm 104. That's what I need. Psalms 104. Psalms 104. You can pick it up at verse 1 if you would. Psalms 104 and 1. Baruch Yahuwah, O my soul, O Yahuwah, my Elohim, you are very great. You are clothed with honor and majesty, who cover yourself with light as with a garment, who stretch out the Shamahim like a curtain, who lay the beams of his chambers in the waters, who make the clouds his chariot, who walk upon the wings of the wind, who make his Malachim, Ruachs, his ministers of a flaming fire. Remember, it also tells you that angels are ministers to the heirs of salvation. While we're looking at his hand, his angels are spirits, they are servants that are a flaming fire. Of course, you know Yahuwah is a flaming fire according to the Deuteronomy, but they are his eyes, go to and fro throughout the whole earth. Remember what the Epistle of Hebrews tell you, that you might be careful to entertain strangers, because some people have entertained angels unaware, because they come through and they give a report. And you know that Yahuwah sends them out. When they his eyes, he sent them out by twos to be a proper and just witness before your face. Come back over here, Proverbs chapter 22. So when we look at Proverbs, 22 and 12, that Yahuwah, the eyes of Yahuwah preserve knowledge. See, when you read in what it is, Revelation 14, where the Malachim is riding through heaven and telling everybody to repent and to fear him, created the heavens and the earth, and to believe the gospel and things of this nature, they're going to preserve that word. Remember, they are servants to the heirs of salvation. So they're going to preserve the knowledge of Elohim. But of course, you know, he overthrows the words of a transgressor. Remember the word for transgressor. In the literal sense, as forth is dealing with the beast. Of course, you know, from Revelation 8 war with the remnant of her seed. Remember, and this is going to tie into something that we're about to read in Proverbs 22 in just a moment. How I want to put this. Of course, we know during the time of the beast, Revelation 12, 13, it tells you that who is can make war with the beast, who is like unto him. Many people in that, of course, the beast, and not just the beast, clearly those who follow the beast will be blaspheming and be speaking against the heavenly tabernacle and against those who are servants of Elohim. Of course, at the coming of Yahushua HaMashiach, these transgressors, these rebels, these faithless individuals will be overthrown. See, this is a key component that you have to sit back and look at. Even like with that thread that I had put in the chat, when you sit back and look at it, my mind went to looking at the Lord and Yasharal to a certain aspect. But the one point of a woman said, I've been with a man for 10 years, he ain't married me, which is translated into, I wanted other men and I wasted my time with you. When that translate with us is, we want things from Elohim. We don't get them on our time schedule. You feel like I wasted my time with Elohim. I could have been out here serving other gods or serving my own will. These are the first individuals whose words will be overthrown because their faith has already been overthrown in their own heart. Because you're either going to look at the wicked one snatches away what was already sown in their heart, or them not having any root in themselves. And then when tribulation or persecution will rise because of the word, they are offended. Because many people do not have that work of patience that is needed in order to receive the promise. Now, of course, you know that one of the fruits of the Ruach is patience. We spoke about this on Wednesday to an extent because we had already spoken about it in regards to the parable of the sower. And one of the examples of the parable of the sower says that they bring forth fruit with patience. One of the evidences of the Ruach is the ability to exercise patience. That patience comes because of belief and faith in the word, which is one of the things that was mentioned in that thread about a man's ability to love because it's tied to patience, because that ability is tied to Elohim. Now, I heard a brother say this, and I agree with it wholeheartedly, that women intrinsically do not know how to love. Not just the man that they gonna be with. That's not the first man that's supposed to teach a woman about love. The first person that's supposed to teach a woman about love is her father. That's where she's supposed to learn that from, because they do not learn it. They come up with delusions and thought processes in their head of what they want love. Why do I say that? Because you supposed to learn the love of Allah, of any type of connection to the Almighty. So your father did not know the love of Elohim in order to instruct you into the love of Elohim. Why do I mention that? Because that means we grow up with a thought process in our mind of what it is to love Yahuwah. And what we believe it is to love Yahuwah is not congruent of what he said it is. The love of Yahuwah is endeared in patience. The individual does not have patience, then the love of Elohim cannot be present. The text tells us that. Let's take a look at that in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Have that. 13 and 4. It says, love suffers long and is kind, and love envieth not. Love vaunt not itself up, that love suffers long. Of course, we know that's love is being slow to anger, and that's patience. Because Elohim, what did he say? He's defined as when he declared his name, that he is long suffering or slow to anger or having long patience. Now, of course, the Greek word for suffer long here is to persevere patiently. This is one of the aspects of where you sit back and you look at what love is. The patience to not see, that's not an attribute. That is a feminine attribute. That is a masculine attribute. That's an attribute that most men do not possess, because most men spend an inordinate amount of time around women. You know what I'm saying? So as women get emotional, they get angry a tad bit quicker. I just noticed that from all the dudes that are seen in the street, how fast they snap and they argue. Because most men who've been raised by men are not angered very quickly. You know what I'm saying? They're not angered very quickly. They don't snap and strike. There's a difference, because there's a temperance there, a self-control there. And again, these are the aspects of the love of Elohim, because these are the byproducts of the fruit of his spirit. You cannot have the fruit of his spirit unless you believe, love, trust, and believe in Elohim. These, and of course, we already went through this in the law. Your father's supposed to teach you this. That's where you're supposed to get that information from. See, you're gonna look. Some people are gonna look at that and think that that's a knock on a woman. That's not a knock on a woman. You know how it's not a knock on a woman? Because you're that woman. You're Yasharal. Who taught that to you? Your man taught that to you. Your father. Let's even say your man. Your father taught that. Manifested himself in the flesh and came here and taught you that. That's why he say for you not to cook. That's why Matthew 23, he told you that you have omitted the weightier matters of the law, being judgment, mercy, and faith. Because the mercy and the faith are going to be the byproduct of the long suffering or the patience or the slow to anger that from a man. See, the point that I'm getting you to understand is, again, understand is seeing, remember, because especially if you're already married, the man say that you ought to reverence your husband as unto the Lord. These are the things that he's supposed to instruct you on. See, most women, and when I say women on the natural side, and then women as us as a people, you think you've already mastered those things. And then when you get faced with that situation and circumstance, you see that you have not mastered those things, because we allow the flesh to interfere with those things. But patience is a byproduct of faith, and patience is a byproduct of love, because patience is a byproduct of Yahuwah. Where there is no patience, there is no love. When there is no long suffering, there is no love. Regardless of how you feel. Now, see, some people hear that. Don't be no fool, because Yahuwah had long suffering, but he had already had plans that I'm going to chastise you. And when the chastisement comes, you're not going to be chastised, because we want to see things from our vantage point and our vantage point alone. We think that we're just a tad. So when we look at him, and I was still in verse 12, when we look at him overthrowing the faithless, you know what I'm saying? People get overthrown with it because they don't believe. So I'm telling you that when the time comes, these people are going to be speaking against Elohim. They didn't get, or at least didn't get it in the time frame that they felt like they should get it. But see, you don't usually get things from Elohim for one or two reasons. One reason is he told you through the Apostle James in the 4th chapter of the Epistle of James that you seek to consume it on your lust, so he don't give it to you. So I ought to say three things. What number one, he don't get, well, shoot. Number one in the Epistle of James, he lets you know you don't get nothing from it because you're wavering. You're double-minded, so he ain't gonna give you nothing. You don't believe him, so he ain't gonna give you nothing. Second one is you want to consume it on your desire, so he ain't gonna get it to you. Which really ties into the other point I was gonna make, which is he ain't gonna give it to you because you ain't gonna know what to do with it because you want to consume it on your desire, so he ain't gonna get it to you. Or the last one is you just not gonna appreciate it. See, sometimes he'll give it to you so you can have it, so he can take it away because you didn't appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? So you won't really appreciate. See, that's the one thing about it. You had Ali and you didn't appreciate him until he was gone. You can see that in the book of Judges. And he dropped you off in the hand of your enemies. You ain't appreciate it. Until they seen him not in that grave, and then they had to sit back and think for a second, like, whoa. And when he manifested himself after his resurrection and went and hit him off with that hot bread, you know, that good bread from heaven. See, don't get to the point where you got something and you know that Elohim placed it in your presence. Good grief. And Elohim placed it in your presence and you don't appreciate it. See, a lot of people don't appreciate that gospel. They don't appreciate that word. They don't appreciate it till it's gone. And it's not going to hit them that they're not going to appreciate it till it's gone. Come over here to Amos chapter 8 in that regard. It'll take some manner of don't want to, and like he tell you in Proverbs chapter 1. He tell you about it in Proverbs chapter 1. When your trouble comes and your fear comes, then you want to call on it, you want to look for it, it's going to be too late. Because when he was right there calling for you, when he was right there, sat there in the third, see, you ain't appreciate it. And since you ain't appreciate it, you ain't got to worry about it. That's how you will feel with it. You ain't got to worry about it. Don't even worry about it. 8 and 11, if you would. Amos 8 and 11. Behold, hearing of the words of Yahuwah, and they shall wander from sea to sea. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east, and they shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahuwah, and shall not find it. And that in the manner of Beersheba live, even shall they fall, and never rise up again. Look what he told them. I'm sad. I'm like I said, look what he told them. You're going to go looking for it, and you're not going to find it. Well, why are you going to go looking for it? Because you didn't appreciate it when you had it. Because when he called, you didn't answer. And when he spoke, you didn't hear. And that's all because of lack of patience. Of course, y'all know that living in this microwave society and the fact of not trying to invoke. You know what I'm saying? And it has a deleterious effect on your ability to obtaining of the spirit because you can't forsake your flesh when you constantly thinking in the flesh. Because thinking in the flesh is not always fulfilling a desire of something that feels good. As we were talking about on Wednesday, it's a desire to fulfill your own will or to trust in your own righteousness or in your own wisdom and in your own understanding and in your own way and in your own heart as the book in your own way to your own destruction. Since I said that, Isaiah chapter 48. You could pick it up at verse 12, Isaiah 48 and 12. Isaiah 48 and 12. We still holding Proverbs 22. And it's still Isaiah 48 still touch on the fact of dealing with that he preserves knowledge and overthrows the words of a rebel. Or does not even say rebel, but a faithless individual. Remember, right, what Paul wrote to you, which is in Isaiah, which is in Proverbs, that he would give them over to a strong delusion, who didn't have a love for the truth, that they might be saved, that they might be damned. See, he'll let you believe a lie. Him letting you believe a lie is because you trusted in your flesh and in your own heart and in your own way. You know, unfortunately, and there's no way around it, because the book already tell you this as well, that he will work a work in your days which you will no wise believe, even though a man told it to you. See, this world tells you that men ain't this and men ain't that. I'm here to tell you that if you're going to get anything from Elohim, you're going to have to get it from a man in some shape, form, or fashion. If it ain't what it is. Because and when I'm saying that, that's not just for no woman. So I don't want you to know that. That's just not for no woman. You know what I'm saying? That's just not for no woman. That's for everybody. You're going to have to get it from a man some way, somehow. But that's who got it set up. I don't even why I say that because, you know, of course, you got people always say the Holy Spirit's my and all that junk come through. You mad because your daddy ain't teaching nothing. Don't be mad. Let that junk go. Indeed. All right, your mama was a hoe, bro. Let it go. Your daddy wasn't about nothing. Man, let it go. Okay, you came up like this here. You came up like this here. If you had traumatic stuff happen to you, man, go seek you some type of counseling from whoever you feel comfortable seeking that from and get that junk off your chest and move on with your life. Because you can't be, some of y'all approaching 30. Man, you can't be holding that as an excuse for why you don't do this and why you don't do that for long. It ain't going to be acceptable, bro. You got to let that junk go. I just told brother today, you can't be always dwelling on negative things that doesn't happen to you, man. If you're living in the past. So how is your present and future going to be able to expand and grow when you always harking on negativity from the past? Is you going to be in the present day and you who are willing looking towards the next day? Or is you going to be dealing with some stuff that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago? You know what I'm saying? You have to make peace with it. You got to do what it is that you got to do according to what it was. You got to move on with your life, or it will haunt you and it will destroy you and it will prohibit any manner of expansion and growth that you have any desire to obtain because you're going to be hustling backwards. You know what I'm saying? And that's another aspect of dealing with your flesh. See, that ain't nothing but your flesh wants you to harp and think on that so you can stay stagnant. You know what I'm saying? You let that junk go. Then you have to sit back and look at any thought processes, patterns, and ways that you got that are going to be debilitating to whatever you got going on. You got to cut that junk off. You got to cut that junk off because it's just not what it's going to be. This is not what it's going to be. Because imagine this here, right? The book tell you about this here, right? You didn't like it when your daddy chastised you. The average woman ain't going to like when her husband chastises you. But you think you're going to take when you chastise you. Indeed, it will. It must be more difficult. You would rather somebody chastise you who care about you than to wait till Yahuwah do it. Because I'm telling you right now, if you can't take chastisement from your father, if you can't take chastisement from your husband, you're not taking it. You're not going to take it. And he's already told you this. You're not going to take it. See, you have to get out of your mind that, oh, I'll take it from God, but I ain't going to take it from you. A presence you have never felt. Like you have to get that clicked into your mind. Why have you made it in your mind that I'm only going to listen to God and not the people who are in the image of the very God of whom you say you believe? That goes for everybody. That's not classified to one gender or one age group. That's for everybody. But guess what? And I mentioned that because you've seen Paul, an apostle, who came across Peter and James and John, who was an apostle, and that man humbled himself to the man. That man didn't sit back and look, I'm not listening to you. Who are you to me? I'm this, I'm that. That didn't matter. That didn't matter. He gave honor. The book tell you that. Give honor to whom honor is due. Period. That's how that works. Not, oh, I'm only going to listen to you. Because if you're not going to listen to those, then you listen to him. This is that simple. Why you think he told you? This is the first thing he told you to do. Honor your father and your mother. Honor your husband as unto the Lord. Give him that same manner of honor. He said, those who are elders in the congregation, in the body, give honor to them as unto, like you're going to respect him. He know you're not going to respect him. And you make your mouth fry fish. But he already know you full of crap. You got to remember, we can deceive everybody else. We're not deceiving him because he searched the heart and tried the reins and give according to a man, according to his works. So who we really lying to? You're lying to yourself. Nevertheless, Isaiah 48. I just said all that to set Isaiah 48 up. It is. It is top 4 for a reason. Indeed it is. He said, hearken unto me, O Jacob, and Yasharal, my called, I am he. I am the first. I am also the last. My hand have also laid the foundation of the earth. My right hand have spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. That's the second time we done read how that man say he done created everything. Listen to what he tell you. All you assemble yourselves and hear, which among them declared these things. Yahuwah have loved him. He will do his pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall be on the Chaldeans. I, even I, have spoken. Yea, I have called him. I have brought him. He shall make his prosperous. Come you near unto me. Hear you this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning. From the time that it was, there am I, and now Yahuwah Elohim and his Ruach have sent me. Shalom, man. You good, man. Look what he say, right? He say Yahuwah Elohim and his Ruach done sent me. That Yahushua, my man, he done sent me, cuz. Look at what he tell you. Thus saith Yahuwah, your Redeemer, the Kadash one of Yasharal. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, which teach through the prophet, which lead you by the way that you should go. That's what he told you. He said he teach you in the way that's your prophet. Let's look at prophet on general principle. On general principle. You know it's Lamad. You know it's prophet. That's your all. This is your gain and benefit. He instructs you to your gain and benefit. You got Yad, Ayin, and Lamad. He teach you to your benefit. So guess what? Go ahead and know this work that I'm teaching. You're going to gain from it. See, that's the, again, one of the purpose I mentioned this here. Again, that's the father and the husband's job. To stand in Yahuwah's seed. That's no different than those. That's why he told you to respect those that rule in the body and honor them as you would a father, because they're teaching you in the way that you should go and the way that is going to cause you to profit, so that you can know this word. So you can know the work that you got to do. So you can know the work of the shepherd. Know that word. And that's where your profit gonna come in, because Yahweh already told you he's counseled you to buy gold out of the fire that you might be rich. You understand? Of course, you know what go where you should go. That's gonna be your lot, because it's double the rocks on there, which lead you by and the way that will profit you and the pathway or to lead. Now this one here is a little different definition of the rock. They got to bend or to lead or to march, because you know the rock usually is defined. Wait. Well, it's two different words because it's spelled Darak, D-A-R-A-K, instead of D-E-E-K, which just gives us our way or your course of life. So think about that and ponder on that. Listen what he said in verse 18. That man told you, if you would have listened to what I told you, I'd have gave you my spirit. He said, if you would have listened to what I told you, I would have gave you everlasting life. That's why we miss out. That's why we miss out. That's why a lot of women miss out, because they don't listen. You know what I'm saying? That's why this people has missed out, because we don't listen. Because we think we know the way that we should go and that we can teach ourselves to profit. And that's not how it works. I don't care. I done told y'all this before. I don't care what Nambrud say out their mouth. You can't teach yourself no salvation, boy. That has never happened in the history of Yasharal. Ever. You can't read that nowhere in the text. That's a nigga talking out his butthole. Well, the only way you're going to live. First man had that work with Adam. Yahuwah made him, so you know he son him. He son Noah. Go and give him that work. From Enoch, all these people from his line, from Adam line, go give him that work. Abraham, his son Abraham, he said, I know Abraham got that word. He said, I know him. What he did, he passed it down to Isaac. Isaac had that word. Jacob had that word. Guess what? You went down and you was in bondage for a long time. You ain't had that word. You ain't know what up from up, down from down, right from right, left to left. You ain't know nothing. And guess what he did? He son Moses. You ain't just wake up one day and say, oh, we the people of the book. We the people of the book. You ain't do that, nigga. You ain't wake up one day and say, we the sons of the prophets. He's son of man to come holler at you. And when that man said he couldn't talk, he said, here come your brother Aaron. Put him down on both of y'all. That's what he did. And when he went through the wilderness, what he did, the men sat down and they taught them people. Came into the land, he said he son judges. He raised up Ehud. He raised up Gideon. Send him over and give him that word. Then he raised up Samuel. Send him around there and give him that word. You find me where you just sat up and popped up one day and say you ain't need nobody, you who a son. You lying to me. That man ain't never operated like that. That's nigga talk. That's nigga talk. Matter of fact, man, I ain't gonna say that. That's feminine talk. That's a I don't need no man talk. That's what that is. I don't need no man. I can do it on my own. Any woman who say that, that's really a weak woman. She don't understand that she weak, but you a weak woman because you could do it on your own. I don't need no help. You're really trash. You're really weaker. You're that's a facade of strength. I can go ahead and do it on my own. I don't need nobody. Only a fool will go forth to war without an army. Only a fool would do that. You're going to go way further with a team than you're going to go by yourself. You're going to go way further with a team than you're going to go by yourself. But guess what? With a team, you can get there in 6 months. By yourself, it's going to take you 6 years. Because you're only one person. It's only so many hours in a day. You know what I'm saying? See, we'll say teamwork make the dream work, but we only want teamwork when it's beneficial to us because everybody ain't working towards the same vision because they thinking about themselves. That's why people always screaming, why Israel ain't got no unity. 99.9% of these niggas putting this work out on the street, the man ain't son. That's why you can't come together. You can't come together with trash. You can't come together in lies. How that's going to work? But let me digress. Y'all know it ain't no lie. If you've been dealing with Bruce, you know it ain't no lie. You know it ain't no lie. Ain't nowhere in the world. Ain't nowhere in the world. See, the house of Yasharal is the independent woman. She don't need no man. Even though Yahuwah said you need one. You need one. You need one. That's what the book says. It's not my personal opinion. Guess what? If I ain't know no word, why would I be offended for another man to give it to me? You know what I'm saying? Why would I be offended by that? Why would that bother me? That ain't nothing but your pride. Need no nigga. I'm a man too. The fact that you got to say that, you ain't no man. That wouldn't even bother you. You know you would need to get trained up first. Because you know why? Because you knew you would have sat down with your daddy. Your daddy would have got you right before he sent you out there. He wouldn't have sent you out there half cocked. Winging it. I told a young man there just the other day. We were talking about that situation with Marcus Houston marrying that young girl. I told him straight like this here. Who would give their daughter to a young man? You got a young daughter, 19 years old, 18 years old. You going to give it to a 20, 21-year-old boy who can't teach her nothing, who can't lead her nowhere? What are he going to do for? We ain't even talk about no financial stuff. He ain't got no wisdom to give her. He ain't got nothing he can teach her. What is he going to do for her? And guess what all our young men went around saying? Well, I know this word. Well, I don't need nobody to teach me. I know what I'm talking about. All right, cuz you got it. You ain't got no knowledge, no wisdom, no understanding. You ain't never heard of the Son of God. What you got to give to anybody? What you can give them? You can't give them nothing but hard times and penis. When I'm talking about hard times for bumping your head against the wall because of lack of wisdom. That's what I'm talking about, hard times. Not hard times financially, but hard times for lack of wisdom. Because you're going to have to bump your head up amongst our people. They started running their head into the wall. Because they only got no word. You ain't gonna run your head into the wall when you got the word. You're gonna learn to walk around. Nigga will walk dead slap into a wall when they see they can easily just climb over it or walk around it. They got to prove I'm a man. I got to do it the hard way. Bro, why are you trying to run through the wall when you could just climb over? You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. Make it difficult when it didn't have to be difficult. You could have literally just climbed over the wall. Who told you you had to take the most difficult road? Who told you that? And why did you believe it? Why would these women get here? We got to teach these brothers, build them up. Woman, you can't build no man. What's wrong with you? That's like saying Yeshua had to build up the Lord. That makes sense to you? That's like Eve. That's like us saying Eve had to build up Adam. That makes sense to you? You know why you got to build this nigga up? Because you weak. Because you want to be masculine, which means you're really a weak woman. This thing is tripping. You know what I mean? When I say weak woman, you ain't no virtuous woman. You ain't no Kyle woman. You ain't got no strength. Because if you had strength, you'll sit your monkey behind down somewhere. But nevertheless, verse 19. Your seed also has been as the sand and the go forth for Babylon, flee you from the Chaldeans with a voice of singing, declare you. Tell this, utter it, even to the end of the earth, say you, who have redeemed his servant Jacob. And they thirsted not when he led them through the deserts. He caused the waters to flow out of the rock with them. He clave the rock also, and the waters gushed out. There is no shalom, saith Yahuwah, unto the wicked. You ain't gonna get no peace when you don't listen. That's bottom line. You ain't gonna get none because you don't listen. Proverbs 22. He gonna overthrow you. Whether you that he's redeemed, he say, go ahead and sing that man done redeemed his servant Jacob. Go ahead and sing that. Go and get that off your chest. Get it off your chest. 13 of Proverbs 22. The slothful man say, there's a lion without. I shall be slain in the streets. Oh, lazy nigga. This is the next thing he tell you that. The mouth of a strange woman is a deep pit. He that is abhorred of Yahuwah shall fall therein. Now let's pause. Y'all know that. We talked about a strange woman not too long ago, right? That's a strange woman, prostitute, a harlot, whore, or one who is alienated, a woman who's separated from Elohim. She's a deep pit. Of course, you know that's a ditch, a chasm. We're going to deal with them characters on that. But if Yahuwah hates you, you're going to fall dead into that place. What could that mean? Of course, abhorred is Zion. That means that he has expressed indignation. He has denounced you. You are abhorrent. He's showing anger. He don't like you. You are abominable. That goes back to what we were talking about. The sinner shall be taken therein. When we look at the mouth of a strange woman as a deep pit, let's turn around and look at this. As far as the gospel is concerned. We already talked about this a little bit, so we don't have to rehash it. Yasharal is that harlot. She is that whore. She is that alienated woman. That strange woman. It's the blasphemies that she spoke that we talked about last week in John chapter 11. You know, we're going to lose our place in the nation and all that stuff they were speaking against him. And because Yahushua became sin and Yahuwah abhorred sin, he fell into that mouth of that whore, into that deep pit or into that grave. He fell into it. That ain't gonna be no different than fooling with that whore Babylon. And that ain't no different than fooling with a maggot foot dragon, dirty foot, $2 skank hoe. And she gonna tell you how great you is, and this, that, then, the third. Why she trying to seek to spend up your substance? See, that was the other thing that was dictated in that thread of how a lot of women dictate date nights and romance and trips and gifts into love. Remember what he told you, they give gifts to a horse. Remember, he told you faith is deceitful and beauty is vain. But she that feareth Yahuwah, she shall be praised. See, a lot of women, they want to be praised for fearing Yahuwah. That's the least thing on their mind. Because if you fear Yahuwah, you're going to honor your husband in the same vein. You're going to honor your father in the same vein. You're going to give them the same love or respect. You understand? So he telling you the type of woman to avoid it. Be careful. Don't fall into that mouth of that woman who's alienated, woman who's strange. You know what I'm saying? This is why I always told you I couldn't go fool with no sinner. That's a strange woman. I don't care what she say out her mouth. I know this girl, she posts this junk on her page all the time about men know who they want to marry in less than a month. Dumbest thing I ever heard in my entire life. Dumbest thing I ever heard in my entire life. I have never met a man who he knew that he looked at a woman and knew she was his wife, and he hadn't even known her a month or but a month. You don't even know this woman. See, that's an emotional reaction. You know what I'm saying? That's an emotional reaction. That's emotion running through you. Because you don't know nobody in 30 days, male or female. You don't know nobody in 30 days. Anybody with common sense know when you just meeting somebody and you just meeting them, they on their best behavior. They're gonna show you the parts of you, parts of them that they feel like make them look good. And I'll tell you this here too. And I know this, but it's a different situation. Man, you don't never tell no woman what it is you want and expect out of a woman. Don't tell her that. Same way as a woman, you shouldn't tell no man what you want and expect out of a man. Cause what you think that nigga gonna do? They gonna pretend to be that what you said that you want in order to get you. And you know why you told them that, because that's what you wanted to do, because you wanted to be deceived. So when they turn around and show you that they ain't nothing like that, you can say he lied to me. See, he fooled me. She got on me, you got yourself. Because you gave them the script in order to act out the part. Why would you do that? Instead of just saying, hey man, we just get to know each other and let that person show you who they really are. You got to do all that. You got to do all that. Oh, I want a man who does this, this, and this. See, most of the time I've seen that when a person is mad at the person they've been with, and they go to talking to somebody else, and they tell them all the stuff that the person they was with was doing that they didn't like. They're doing that on purpose. It's not a Freudian slip. It's not a venting session. They're giving the person the playbook in order to make them to believe that they can do the opposite things because this is the person that they really want to fool with for whatever reason. And that person is going to do what you want from him. That's what they're going to do. That's why people turn around and they ask people, well, who do you believe in God? Who do you think God is? And then they teach you a sermon along them lines. Because it fits what you say you want. You identify with it because you asked to be deceived. Actually, you didn't even ask. You wanted to be deceived and you gave them the playbook to do it. Also, it gives you plausible deniability when it blow up in your face that you could put it on them, but you'd have done it. But you'd have done it. You're not going to admit that you the dummy. You know deep down in your soul you the dummy, but you the dummy. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be honest with yourself with that. You got to be honest with yourself with that. That's why you got to be careful with the mouth of that strange woman, because if Yahuwah hates you, he gonna let that woman devour you. He gonna let that wicked woman swallow you whole. Because you're going to fall for all the sweet nothings that come out of her mouth. Just like we read in Proverbs chapter 7 last week. The good man is not home. And you're going to go for this and you're going to go for that. And that's going to be you. Come on right here to verse 15, right? Foolishness is bound in the heart of a son. Him. When we look at bound, I want to say child, you got an R there, or boy, or you lad, young man. Shalom, young man. Foolishness is bound. When we look at it here, to bound together, in league together, or to conspire. I just want you to think about that. Kuf, Shan, and Raj. When you look at that foolishness, right, I just really want you to take that Kuf and that Rosh, or that last chief, or that last Adam, and be paired to that last Adam. Because it says foolishness is in his heart. But the rod, remember what he told you with King Solomon? He said that he would chastise him. You understand? Now, when we look at the rod of correction, let's sit back and think about this rod of correction. Of course, you know correction is Musar. And of course, you know that rod is Shevet. But let's look at Shadrach Afar, which is Rakah. And that is to be removed from a far distance. So now, again, you got Rosh, Kot, and Kuf. So again, you turn around and you look and see how you separate it to the last Adam. Because you're going to have to take that rod of correction, that chastisement, in order to be separated unto him. Because, of course, you know this goes back to what we mentioned before. We're going to get it in Hebrew so you can hear it. Just on general principle. You already know that Yahushua went through all this. Again, this is how the grace of the lips of the king become your friend. Because that favor and acceptance comes from the ability to take the chastisement of Elohim, the chastisement that Yahushua bared for us all. But you have to take it as well. If you're not, it's Hebrews 12, not Hebrews 8. My apologies. Because if you're not willing to take it, 12 and 5, then how do you expect to be delivered? How do you expect, when I say delivered, how do you expect to receive the Ruach? How do you expect that? Remember, the gospel is tied in to a key component. That is the suffering, death, and resurrection of one man. Your Elohim, your Lord, your Savior, your King, your Redeemer, Yahushua HaMashiach, all the way around the board. That's what it's about. And if that testimony is not in your heart, and you don't really believe it, and you don't trust in it, and you don't live according to it, then how do you expect to obtain an everlasting kingdom? It's going to be grossly impossible. I can remember several times over the years, one time in particular is coming to my mind, but a couple of women, they were highly offended at the fact that telling them, like, if you disrespect your husband, you'll disrespect the Lord. I don't care what you say. They were just offended by that notion. Now, I could understand why they were offended because they could not imagine seeing that he was in the Lord's stead because they just saw him simply as a man. Instead of sitting back looking at, right, this ran off my head earlier today. We know the books say that Adam was made in the image likeness of Elohim. You understand? So when you're born again, as it tells you in Ephesians, you're made in the image of true Kadash and in righteousness. So you actually made in the image of Yahusha at this point. So the same way that individuals can't look at their brother and see the Lord. The same way that they can't look at their sister and see the Lord. Why? Because there's no male nor female. But one in Mashiach, they can't see him. He can't look at her husband and see him. She just see that man. So that level of love, honor, and respect that she says she holds for the Lord, she cannot extend that to her husband in that same capacity because she don't see him that way. See, that takes us back to what he said in Matthew 25. If you did this to the least of these, my brethren, you did it unto me. So if this man has been immersed in the name of Yahushua, whatever that woman does to him, you did that to the Lord. You didn't do that to that man. You did that to the Lord. Now sit back and ask yourself, are you comfortable with that? You know what I'm saying? Because this is going above and beyond just the fact that's your husband, that you ought to do that. What you did to him, so great that you were rude to that man, that you were dishonorable to that man, that you spoke disrespectfully to that man, that you did not serve that man. That's no different if you look at your brother and that man was hungry and you didn't feed that man because you sleep well, knowing you're going to have to see the Lord about that. You know what I'm saying? That if you could show mercy to that man and you didn't show it. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to look at that. Because he told you that. See, it's a flip side. It's going to be different from man dealing with man. Because he told you that in Matthew 20. We're talking about somebody in the faith now, not just no regular person. Not just no random person in the street. Not just somebody that they black. He said, if you did it to the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. So if somebody has been immersed in the name of Yahusha and they say they in the faith, are you comfortable with those dealings to them? Because whatever you did to them, that's what you did to the Lord. And you, so when I say lay down, I'm talking about when you close your eyes for the last time. When the lights go out and that last breath expels out of your lungs, can you say you gonna be comfortable with that? You understand? When this man say, he that giveth to the poor giveth to his maker, he wasn't talking about just anybody. He was talking about somebody who in the faith. See, we have to sit back and realize that if you give something to somebody who poor, you did a good work, but you ain't do that as unto the Lord because that person is not in him. That person is not in him who are the household of the faith. Don't take Matthew 25 and apply it to everybody. He said, the least of these, my brethren, you did it unto me. So we have to sit back and look at however you did somebody who in the faith, boy, you did that to the Lord. Can you lay down in your grave and be good with that? knowing that that man gonna look you in the face and ask you why you did him like that. And when you say, when did I do you like that? You're gonna say, when you did this person like that, when you did your husband like that, when you did that woman like that, when you did this person like that. And then you're gonna be sitting there with your mouth down to your feet looking stupid. That ain't even worth it. That ain't even worth it. And you gotta take and you know why I'm mentioning that? Not just with the people that you know who in the word, but when you run across people who you don't fellowship with, you can't have that type of attitude with them people. Because their name might be booked in that book. And if you do them dirty, you did the Lord dirty. You got to take that into account. You can't look at it that way. I don't care what doctrine they follow or whatever the case may be. That ain't none of your business. That ain't none of your business. Your business is to do what your husband told you to do, what your father told you to do. Don't you be worried about what they believe and what they teach and this, that, and the third. They say they service of the Lord. I don't care what name they use, whatever the case may be. You better make sure that you treat them the same way you treat him. That way your hands are clean. Yeah, I ain't just say that for the people you know. The only thing that's going to be for the person you know is if you're married. You know what I'm talking about? Because you're going to have to sit back. A man, he'll sit back. He got to look at his wife. Like he's looking at Yashara. You got to look at your wife like you looking at her through the eyeball. You look at her like I looked at her. That's what I taught you. That's what I told you to do. Oh, you didn't do that? Well, you can't belong to me. You're not doing that, son. That's not what I teach in my house. See, that go back to he teach you in the way that you should go and in things that's your profit. That's not what I taught you. See, we got to look at what he taught us. See, like I said before, all we want to talk about what he taught us is pork and Sabbath. That man taught you more than that. But let me take that back. He taught more than that, but the people who out here talking for him, he ain't taught them because he don't know them people. But let's get back on task. Proverbs 22. Oh, I'm in Hebrews 12. My bad. Hebrews 12 and 5. My apologies. Hebrews 12 and 5. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speak unto you as unto sons. My son, despise not you the chastening of Yahuwah, nor faint when you are rebuked of him. For whom Yahuwah love, he chasten and scourge every son whom he received. If you endure chastening, Elohim deal with you as sons. For what son is he whom the father chastened not? But if you be you are bastards and not sons. Furthermore, we had fathers after our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Abba of Ruachs and live? For truly for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his kadoshness. Now no chastening for the present seemed to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterwards it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them that exercise thereby. See, that's the whole key point that we don't sit back and look at. When you get chastised, like he tell you that in Psalm 94, blessed are those whom he's chastened out of his law. When somebody is chastening you or correcting you or disciplining you according to the word, it's for your gain. That's why he say, I lead you in the way that you should go and teach you to profit. Because it's for your gain. You don't look at it for your gain because it don't feel good to you, because that's your pride. That's all that is. That's your pride. And that's your flesh. Your flesh is bruised. So because your flesh is bruised, you get an attitude. Now we have to go back and look at the hallmark, the author and finisher of our faith, as we were instructed to do in the beginning of this epistle. And look at him, that when that rod of correction went upside his head, because that foolishness was bound in his heart, because that foolishness that was bound in his heart was your foolishness. He became knit in one with your foolishness and took that rod upside his head that was meant for you. Because you the fool. To drive death and sin away from you. He took that for, he didn't profit from that. See, that again go to the point of what I done told y'all many times, that men and women love differently. Because ain't no woman going to do that. Ain't no woman finna take no type of chastisement, death, beating, or any of the sort for someone who don't like her, for someone who is opposed to her. She is not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? She's not going to do it. We already know ain't too many men going to do it. To darn near zero. But that's the only people she's going to sacrifice herself for. She's not going to die for them. She's not going to die for her husband. She's not going to die for the nation. She just be like, I just get another nigga. What am I gonna do all that for? I'm just gonna get another nigga and move on with my life. He'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? It don't work that way. Because that's how with people, that's how we felt. We tell you stop speaking in this man's name? When we gonna stone you and beat you for speaking in this man's name. Come on, man, we got time for this. We moving on. So when you sit back and you understand that a man went through undescribable pain and physical torment and he gained nothing from it, your allegiance and reverence and gives with no rhyme or reason or care for your personal feelings, thoughts, or desires. You know what I'm saying? See, that's what it come into when you talking about living by your faith. Because you'll sit back and be like, man, love me that much. What does it matter how I feel? What does it matter what I think? Does it really matter, please? Because I'm a dummy. Because I remember he told you this in Deuteronomy chapter 4. He to understand this. You have the ability by faith in Yahushua HaMashiach to receive the Ruach HaKadosh to where your Elohim is literally near unto you. Yahushua has given you understanding, has been made unto you wisdom, just like Deuteronomy 4 express. Because if he's dwelling in you and you dwelling in him, he is your wisdom in the sight of the nations. And they would be able to say that Elohim is near unto you because he would be dwelling in you and you would be dwelling in him. Like you have to sit back and understand that this is what the law is telling you. Because you were willing to be a partaker in the chastening. Also, wisdom, understanding, and instruction or chastening. Come on back to Proverbs. These are things that have to be considered. Verse 16. He that oppressed the poor increases riches, and he that give to the rich surely shall come to want. See, that's something when you're dealing with these people, man, in this world, how they operate, man. They end already rich. You ain't got to be worried about them people. Let them people live it up. That man already said that if you want to oppress the poor to increase your wealth so you can give it to the rich, you're going to come to nothing. Well, you know, they do that in America all day long. They oppress you with draconian policies and things of that nature, and then they come up with bailouts and they give it to their homeboy. That's what they do. That's what they do. He said they're gonna come to want. You just got to wait for it. But you know what? You don't want to wait for it. You feel like, man, they should this, that, then, a third. And when you're looking at poverty, that junk gonna be greater than just some money. And not only is they gonna lose all their riches, but then they're gonna want salvation and they ain't gonna be there for them. That's what you're supposed to learn from the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, and Abraham's bosom and the other in torment. That in life he had good things, but now he's in torment and in that flame. Because he had Moses and the prophets and chose not to hear them and came to warn. Because if he would have heard Moses and the prophets, he certainly would have conducted himself in such a fashion. He certainly wouldn't have done that. Like, that's what you have to realize. Man, I've been told you a long time ago, man. I ain't worried about none of these people and what they're doing. Yahuwah is just righteous altogether. He gonna do what he said he gonna do. He gonna bust these people upside their head and part their scalp to the white meat, man. They gonna lose everything they got. They gonna give their riches over to you. Just like when you came up out of Egypt, you gonna spoil them as they spoiled you. You gonna take it back to your homeland. They gonna bring everything they got. You gonna serve your God, and that's what it gonna be. And then people gonna bow the knee. Simple as that. If you trust in it, you'll wait for it. Ain't got to be worried about talking this, that. I don't care nothing about these people, man. I don't care nothing about these people, man. They gonna get what is coming to them. You cannot, what's the word I'm looking at? You cannot store up iniquity unto heaven and think that Yahuwah is not going to repay. You cannot work ungodliness and have unjust weight and an unjust balance and work all manner of wickedness and hypocrisy and don't think that Yahuwah is not going to pay. Oh, Yahuwah is going to pay. If he wasn't going to pay, then he wouldn't be Yahuwah. You got to know that. How you deal with a man you don't know? That's why people be stressing, and that's why they out here asking for reparations. In the word, asking for reparations. What am I asking the sinner to restore me for? That ain't their job. You ain't got to give me nothing, cuz. You ain't got to give me nothing, because who are gonna make you do it? I'm not asking you, hey, give me my money. You did us like this. No, you ain't did me like nothing. I did myself like that. I was stupid. You know what I'm saying? I did myself like that because I was stupid. I allowed something lesser than me. Because at the end of the day, you have to sit back and look at it. Something that's beneath me. These people are beneath me. And they're not beneath me because I'm an Israelite. They're beneath me because they're sinners. I allow the people who worship wood and stone. This is what I'm talking about. This is my mindset. I can't speak for y'all. I allow the people who worship wood and stone, a God that can't speak, a God that can't breathe, a God that can't walk, a God that can't save. I let a people who worship nothing overcome me because I don't want to listen. So because of that, that's why these people are beneath me. You got to be beneath me when you worship nothing. I worship the creator of all things, the creator of heaven and earth. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. So you beneath me just on that because you worship nothing. And you simple enough to worship nothing and esteem it as God. And I allow someone who is stupid enough to worship nothing and esteem it as God to overcome me because I refuse to listen. So I'm a dummy. I'm going to have to wear that. I'm not asking somebody who's stupid enough to worship nothing to restore me. I wait on my Elohim to do it. I suffer his reproach because I offended against him. They didn't do it. I did it. I let somebody beneath me overcome me because I won't listen. You understand? Like you'll see a lot of women talking about these hoes winning this, that, and the third. You know why hoes win? 95% of the niggas are simps. But the women who actually got a man, you know why they got one? And he do that because they listen. They don't talk too much. They listen. They listen. They committed to him. They're not committed to their own desire. Sounds familiar? You who will do anything for you when you commit to him and don't care about your own desire. You want to win in their kingdom and then call yourself building up something righteous in the midst of iniquity where Elohim is not present. Make that make sense. I can't build nothing righteous in the den of iniquity. That's impossible. And when I say build something righteous, I'm talking about something comprehensive, not people who build in homesteads and communities of their own. Of course, they could build something righteous in a den of iniquity. Don't be a simpleton. Of course, they can. That's plausible. It's logical. It's rational. You know what I'm saying? It's something that could be attained if Yahuwah allows it to. But we're talking about something comprehensive. You're not going to be able to do that because they're not going to let you do it. And the reason why I say they're not going to let you do it because it will offend them. And in their offense, they will seek to destroy you. That's why they're not going to let it happen. It's not. Proverbs 29:27. Don't never forget this. And it doesn't matter what nationality a person is. Don't never forget this Proverbs 29:27. As long as you breathe. Just understand that. So when certain stuff happens, you don't marvel. Proverbs 29:27. Unjust. So these people gonna hate you. So if you live in justly and uprightly in the midst of them, what you do? What you think they're gonna do? See, all we worrying is about finance. When you really sit back and you look at it, we're just worried about finance, which ain't nothing wrong with that to a degree. That's all we worry about. The people not gonna care nothing about all that. Not to the extent that it will get them enraged. But be just and upright. Be living that way. I mean, literally living that way. And if you already know how the story laid out, who's not coming through to fight for you in that capacity? Because the witness has already been laid. How it's going to be played. And guess what? A whole bunch of us are going to be slayed. And ain't nothing we can do about that. That judgment is not going to be stayed. It's not going to be delayed. No, that's going down. That is going down. You have to understand that. Let's look at verse 17. It's got to go down like he said. But it's okay. We're looking for everlasting life. Remember what he told you? He's not the Elohim of the dead. He's the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's the Elohim of the living. That man wording you a lie. You ain't got no worry to fret. See, this ain't no pie in the sky. Oh, I'm going to go to heaven. Man, if that man word abiding you, you'll never taste death. You believe that? Proverbs 23 and 17, look what the man tell you. He said, bow down, 22 and 17, excuse me. Proverbs 22 and 17, my fault. I don't know why I keep saying 23. Proverbs 22 and 17. Let me see what Proverbs. Well, Proverbs 23 and 17 tell you like this. We just read it the other day. Oh, no, we didn't. But Proverbs 23 and 17 tell you, let not your heart envy sinners, but be you in the fear of Yahuwah all the day long. Don't let your heart envy no sinner. That's our people's biggest problem. Your heart envying sinners. What you envying the sinner for? What I look like around here envying Tyler Perry? This nigga a whole faggot. And it ain't his fault he a faggot, because somebody had been touching on him. So he had to have been scarred. But he's a sodomite nonetheless. You know what I'm talking about? What am I envy a sinner for? They didn't obtain that they got by righteousness. Nothing. It say riches don't deliver you from the day of evil, but righteousness do. That money ain't gonna do him no good. Yeah, what all that money them white folk got that they done obtained through unjust means, that stuff ain't gonna do them no good on the day of judgment. So what I'm envying them for? I don't want nothing, no sinner God. I'm gonna stay in the fear of Yahuwah. Cause get what he told you after that. Surely there's an end, and their expectation shall not be cut off. They going to hell. See, that's the thing. You sit back and you look at it, right? You could go to Proverbs 23 right now. I'll let you hear all of it. 23 and 15. Just look what he said. See, I would like I said, just look what he said. See, it's start like this stuff here right here, man, that when you read that, that's supposed to give you comfort and solace to understand. Ain't even no sense to worry about them people, man. Look how he described, look how Solomon described it now. He say, my son, if heart be wise, my heart shall rejoice, even mine. He look at he told us, so he say, son, if you be wise, I'll be happy. I have joy in my heart. He say, yea, my reign shall rejoice when your lips speak right things. Look at it, he talking to his son now. I keep telling you, that's where the information got to come from. The father got to give it to the son. The father got to give it to the son because the son got to give it to his sons. Got to give it to his wife. That's where that information come from. That's why I say that love, that fear of Elohim, that got to come from a man. Your daddy's supposed to teach you that. And if your daddy ain't teach you that, and you see your man got that, then let that man give you that information and sit down, close your mouth, open your ears and your heart, and receive it. And that's twofold. Because since your daddy ain't give you that, your father in heaven came down here and gave you that. So open your hearts and ears and receive it. Verse 17, Proverbs 23, let not your heart envy sinners, but be you in the fear of Yahuwah all the day long. For surely there's an end, and your expectation shall not be cut off. Hear you, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. He told him, right? Son, be wise. Let your heart be in the way. But don't you be envying them sinners, man. There's an end, and your hope ain't going to be lost because they going to hell, and you going to live forever. So what you worrying about them for? And what you expecting something from you? Let's. Of course, you know expectation. You're familiar with the word, and it's takaba, which is your hope, the thing hope for, your outcome. You know, tau, kuf, ooh, and hey. That's what you hoping for. What you hoping for? What do you have a hope for? What do you have a desire for? Back to Proverbs 22, because Proverbs 22 is what we want and why we're here this evening. It's 22 and 17. See, a lot of us don't have no hope for salvation. That's why you're hoping for any and everything else. Bow down your ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply your heart unto my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if you keep them within you. They shall be withal fitted in your lips. Let's look at pleasant. Naim. It's delightful. It's sweet. It's agreeable. It is pleasant. It is noon, ayin, yad, and mean. So guess what? You can know the worship of the Ruach, which is life. That's what you get to know. That's why it's pleasant to your heart. Now he said you need to guard that or keep the shamar within you, over the town, in your inward parts, in your belly, in your abdomen. Then they shall be withal fitted in your lips. See, that take you back to also joy being the fruit of the ruach, or holding the word in your insides. It brings you joy. Fitted is kun, which is to be stable or to be established. So now they'll be established in your mouth. Well, why is it established in your mouth? 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Remember what Yahushua told you. He said, I only speak the word that my father gave me to speak. Right. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 11. Make it verse 10. So when you find that this man words, when you bow down your ear and hear it and believe it, and you apply your heart unto that knowledge. And when we look at apply, it is sheathed, which is to lay up, set your mind to, perform, take your stand, to be set upon, which is Shan, Yod, and Tau. So you prepare to the right hand's covenant. It's when you sit back and you look at it, that you set your mind to doing something. When you applying your heart to that knowledge, you have set your mind that you're going unto that daf, or the knowledge of the Son of God, which will give you discernment, understanding, perception, skill, and wisdom when you do it. It will be a joyful thing that you keep it within, or you guard it within your inward parts. Then it will be established in your mouth. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 10. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Yahushua, that the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our body, for which we live, were always delivered unto death for Yahushua's sake, that the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. So then death work in us, but life in you. We having the same ruach of faith, according as it is written, I believed, and therefore I have spoken. We also believe, therefore speak, knowing that he which raised up the Lord Yahusha shall raise up us also by Yahusha, who shall present us with you. Come over here and see where he got that from. You want Psalms 116 to see where he got that from. I just want to grab some things around what is contained in Psalms 116. Of course, Psalms 116 in its entirety is talking about being delivered from death. I pick up at verse 1. I run through all of it. It's really not that long. We'll grab some points out of it while we're there and just go from there. I love Yahuwah because he have heard my voice and my supplication. Of course, you know that Yahusha was heard and that he feared. See, let me tell you something, right? This is another reason I mentioned before why a lot of people walk away, because they feel like Yahuwah ain't heard their cries. He ain't heard your cry because you double-minded, you a sinner. That's why he ain't heard them. You know, it's always funny too, because people always equate God heard my prayers because they got something that they wanted, something that they always wanted. There's always something that was usually in line with their desires. You have very few people that say, I cried out to Elohim for this, or this, that had nothing that was in line with a fleshly desire, and they received it. Most people, they looking for money, homes, better situation, whatever the case may be, a wife, a husband. which we know majority of people who come in this word, that's what they're looking for. They're coming in looking for a spouse. Then they find somebody, it don't work out, they mad with Yahuwah. That's what you came in here for. Most men, they stupid, so they end up with a wicked woman. They mad with Yahuwah because they chose a wicked woman. Not sitting back looking at it didn't go down because Yahuwah spared you, as we already read. He didn't abhor you, so he didn't let you be taken by the mouth of this strange woman. This woman coming dealing with a dude. Some of these dudes be over the top. Some of these dudes just be men, and they not with your folly. They're not gonna cater to you, and they're not gonna serve you, and they're not gonna kiss your behind because they don't care nothing about your vagina. Now he's an a-hole. He's oppressive. He's a misogynist because he's telling you that this is what you're going to do. I need you to do this, this, and this. And you looking at what about me? What about me? Now you upset, you mad. Now you mad with you, who are these men in the truth? Ain't this, that, then the third. No, you wanted a righteous man who was a simp. Baby, those two things don't even go together. Ain't no righteous man in the history of righteous men ever been a simp. This nigga's not finna simp for you. You can't take this man and make him into the image of what you want a righteous man to be. That man know that he's not your help me, you his help me. He wasn't created to help you. You were created to help him. You know what I'm saying? He's not kissing your behind. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of these niggas go too far. And we know that. But then he ain't no righteous man. But get what? You chose that man because you thought he was handsome. You didn't know him. You didn't want nobody else to know him. So you ain't know he was wicked. You jumped off the top rope. Both of you did. Now you're mad at Yahuwah. Yahuwah ain't had nothing to do with that. That was all you. That was all you. That was all you. At the end of the day. At the end of the day. You get your niggas who, and then Yahuwah scare you by separating you from the person, and you mad with Yahuwah. Yahuwah, don't you know if Yahuwah ain't fool with you, he just would have let you think that this is just how it's supposed to be. This is just an upright. Nevertheless, people like what they like. I'll read it again. I love Yahuwah because he's heard my voice and my supplications. Because he have inclined his ear unto me, therefore I will call upon him as long as I live. I can look at this here. And I think I asked y'all this before. How many of y'all done called on Yahuwah and say, I desperately want to know you? I desire. You can drop your comment however you want. You know what I'm saying? You could put a thumbs up. You could put a yes. You could put a me. I don't care what you put. How many of you called on Yahuwah and say, I just want to know your word. I just want to understand. Just lead me in the way that I ought to go. I just want to save my soul. Deliver me, please. And then he allow you to hear the word to do. Don't you realize that man heard your cry? Why you don't love it? Let me read that to you again. I love Yahuwah because he heard my voice and my supplication. Because he heard Yahushua in John 17 when he cried to him. He heard everything he said. He heard everything he said. And he said, because he's inclined his ear unto me, therefore I will call upon him as long as I live. Don't you read that in Genesis? That's when men began to call upon the name of Yahuwah. He inclined their ear unto him. What you think he did to him when he came up out of Egypt? They were crying unto him. He inclined his ear unto him and heard their cries. In the midst of their oppression, same way he did to Yahushua in the midst of his oppression. I bow down. I got respect unto him. I'm going to hear him. I'm going to come down and say, how many of you, I don't care if you knew, quote unquote, the truth or not. Knowing the truth or not is irrelevant. Knowing you are Israelite and not is irrelevant. Did you call out to the man? I don't care if you knew his name or not. I don't care if you were talking about Jesus, Jehovah, all that stuff a lot of these group niggas be on, that junk irrelevant. You know what I'm talking about? This man searches the heart and the reins. Well, he know the hearts of those who desired to know him, whose soul and spirit was uttering words that that person could not even hear because they longed and had a desire for Elohim. You know what I'm saying? You got to sit back and look at that, man. That man inclined his ear unto that. Let me read that to you again. I love Yahuwah because he heard my voice and my supplications, because he inclined his ear unto me. Therefore will I call upon him as long as I live. So this man gave you an opportunity to get baptized in his name. You're supposed to be calling on this man's name as long as you live. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell got hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. Then called I upon the name of Yahuwah. O Yahuwah, beseech you, deliver my soul. We already know that. We already know that from Matthew, what went down with that. Gracious is Yahuwah and righteous. Yea, our Elohim is merciful. Yahuwah preserved the simple. I was brought, but he helped me. Return unto your rest, O my soul. For Yahuwah have dealt bountifully with me. For you have delivered my soul from death, my eyes from tears, my feet from falling. I will walk before Yahuwah in the land of the living. See, that go back to what's stated in Romans of walking in newness of life. Because death got a hold of you. Yahuwah heard your cry, and now he has delivered you from death. So now that you can walk before Yahuwah in the land of the living. And then the next verse is, I believe, therefore I have spoken, I was greatly afflicted. I have said in my haste, all men are liars. See, that take you back to that Romans 3 when Paul say, let Elohim be true and let man be a liar. That's where he got that from. That's why he say, if my lie, great. That's why he say, if my lie about Romans 3 and 3. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of Elohim without effect? Elohim forbid. Yea, let Elohim be true, but every man a liar. As it is written, that you might be justified in your sayings and might overcome when you are judged. And for unrighteousness commit as a man. Elohim forbid. For then how shall Elohim judge the world? For if the truth of Elohim, sheesh, for if the truth of Elohim have more abounded through my lie unto his esteem. See, this is where it comes from. Because this book say all men are liars. He just said every man is a liar because they don't know the book. He say, for if the truth of Elohim have abounded through my lie unto his esteem, why am I yet also judged as a sinner? And not rather as we be slanderously reported, as some affirm that we say, let us do evil that good may come, whose damnation is just. And what is that? Isaiah chapter 5, when he say those that say slanders, Paul had let that be known for. We've been slanderously reported on that. We don't say, let us do evil that good may come. See, that's the thing that we sit back and we look at as a people, how we operate. You think that you're going to do evil and good going to come from that? Oh, no. Ain't how that works. Isaiah 5 and 20. Woe unto them all evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. Woe to them that are mighty to drink wine and men of strength to mingle strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward and take away the righteousness of the righteous from him. See, that's what we got going on in this earth. Come back to Psalms 116. That's what we got going on in this earth. And it ain't right. It ain't right. It's just not right. Verse 11, Psalms 116. I already read verse 11. Verse 12. Psalms 116 and 12. What shall I render unto Yahuwah for all his benefits towards me? See, this goes into the point that we were talking about bestow upon you. Let's look at this word for benefits, because you are not extending any benefits to him. Tagamul is the word for benefits, and praise Elohim. It is a bestowment or a benefit, but more importantly, an act of grace. An act of grace. Takes us back to the original verse 11. So we got Tau and Gamal and Neem and U and Lamad. So of course we got Tau. Now you got the Ruach. So you got the Ruach of the messenger of the covenant, which takes us back to Isaiah 48 when he say, now I, who Elohim and his Ruach have sent me. So now you got this U. So now you've been paired to a teaching. So you can see that the teachings of the messenger of the Ruach have paired you to this covenant. You understand? Or this act of grace. Because what do we look at in Proverbs 22? In verse 11? which says what? That's Proverbs 23. Boom. He that loved pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips shall the king be his friend. Take us back to when we were talking about mercy and truth, and that the law came by Moses, the grace and truth, or mercy and truth came by Yahushua HaMashiach. So when we go back to Ephesians 2, and we just take a quick look at about verse 7. He said that this is Ephesians 2 and 7, that in the ages to come, he might show the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness towards us through Yahushua HaMashiach. For by grace are you saved through faith, and it is not of yourselves, it is a gift of Elohim, not of works, lest any man should boast. But for we are his workmanship, created in Yahushua HaMashiach unto good works, which Elohim hath before ordained that we should walk in them. So when we sit back and we look at all those things that before, because you're looking at being delivered from death, that's all that verses 1 through 9 in Psalms 116 are referring to, which of course we know Yahushua being exceedingly sorrowful unto death, making supplication to his Father in Matthew 26 and in John 17, and that he extended that benefit unto him and heard his cry, and he made him the captain of salvation and extended to him the gift of immortality, that he may extend it to all those that believe on him. And because he believed, therefore he hath spoken. That's why he gave them understanding upon his resurrection. Therefore we believe, therefore we speak. See, one thing for certain, two things for sure. You can't speak on the things that you don't believe. I don't care what they are. It isn't got to be no word. If you don't have confidence and belief in the things that you discussed, then you cannot speak on them authoritatively. You know what I'm saying? And when you can't speak on them authoritatively, it will show that you don't really believe what you're saying. And it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. You'll be proved out. And it'll be shown that this is not where your heart resides. Back over here to Psalms 116. So I want you to keep that in mind when he said, what shall I render unto Yahuwah for his act of grace towards me? What will you give him? What can you render? Because there's nothing that you can give him. Because render is shoes. So what you going to return? What you going to give back? This is what you're going to give back. Verse 13. I will take up the cup of salvation and call upon the name of Yahuwah. That's all you got to do. Go ahead and take hold of that cup and call on the name of Yahuwah. That's all you got to do. You ain't got to do no more than that. Take that cup of Yahushua and call on his name. Verse 14 says, I'll pay my vows unto Yahuwah now in the presence of all his people. Well, what is your vow? Of course, you know that's you believe him and do what he say. Precious in the sight of Yahuwah is the death of his saints. Let's look at precious. We ain't talked about that in a while. That's your car, right? That's valuable. You're prized. You're precious. You're precious in his eyesight. What did Yahushua tell you about that? Yahushua told you about that. This is the second half of, but we might cut it a little early. Because the second half of this verse, I'm not trying to go into great detail on it right now. Not this evening. We have to say that for tomorrow. Because we're not going to complete it. I already know we're not going to complete it. So I start something that I know we're not going to finish. Well, info. Yeah, I don't even want to start something I know we're not. And I know we're not going to finish. There's a lot contained in that. Luke 12 and 4. And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and then after that have no more that they can do. But I will forewarn you, whom you shall fear, fear him, which after he have killed have power to cast into hell. I say unto you, fear him. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings, and not one of them is forgotten before Elohim? But even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are more value than many sparrows. You are way more important to Elohim than anything that you can imagine. That's why he says that. Valuable in the sight of Yahuwah is the death of his saints. Remember, right? I mentioned this the other night, and that's Kaseh for saints. That's his faithful ones, godly ones. Remember, Matt, he said, blessed are those who die in the Lord from henceforth, and their works do follow them. And again, that's your hope, your end shall not be cut off. There's an expectation. No expectation ain't going nowhere. There is an end and a purpose for what you got going on. That's not going to get cut. You ain't got to worry about that. Verse 16 of Psalms 116. Oh, Yahuwah, I am your servant. I am your servant, and the son of your handmaid. You have loosed my bonds. Now let's look at bonds. Moser, your bond, right? Your restraint. Meme, U, Samak, and Raj. Now, of course, y'all know what that means, right? He told you that he loosed the pains of death and acts because it wasn't possible to be holden by them. You also know that the Lord told you in John 8 that if you shall be free, if the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. Come to Hebrews chapter 2 real quickly. Man, if you ain't have to go to Hebrews 2, right? Hear what he told you in Hebrews 2. That he had freed them who had all their lifetime had a fear of death from bondage and destroyed him that had power over death, that is the devil. He's loosed you from that bond. He's freed you, right? He said, he come to set the captives free. You've been captive to sin and death for whole existence, and he has come and set you free. You know he the son of his handmaid. All you got to do is come to Luke chapter 1 to see he the son of his handmaid. Come over here to Luke chapter 1 so you can see that. Of course, you know handmaid. Amah, Olive, Meme, and Hay. That is a handmaid. That is a concubine, a female slave, a maid servant, or a figure of humility. Pick it up. Luke 1 and 46. You can make it Luke 1 and 41. And it came to pass that when Elizabeth heard the salutation of Mary, the babe leaped in her womb. Elizabeth was filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. She spake out with a loud voice and said, Baruch are you among women, and Baruch is the fruit of your womb. Whence is this to me, that the mother of my Lord should come to me? For lo, as soon as the voice of your salutation sounded in my ears, the babe leaped for joy in my womb. Leaped in my womb, excuse me, be a performer of those things which are told her from Yahuwah. See, that's also to sit back and also. Now, this is somebody who told you from Yahuwah. But y'all ain't no different, because you would be blessed to believe the word that is left behind that come from Yahuwah, that he is able to perform the things of which he said that he was going to perform. Because Mary is no different than Abraham, who is no different than Sarah, something. And then he did it because that person believed it. Remember what Yahushua said to a couple of people when they asked him to perform miracles. He said, according as your faith, let it be accomplished. See, when it comes to a lot of things and people like, I ain't getting this and I ain't getting that, it's according to your faith. That's why you ain't getting it. Now just sit back and imagine that. Yahushua looking you in your face and you asked him for something and he said, well, according to your faith, let that be done. Would he accomplish what you asked him for? Matter of fact, because I know personally, I hope all y'all play at least twice a day. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, at the bare minimum, one. You know what I'm saying? But just try to picture this in your mind, that the Lord was in your face. Would you ask him for the stuff you be asking for when you can't see his face? If he was in your face, if you could literally walk up to him and ask him for it, would you be asking him for the stuff that you be asking for? Or how would you be able to deal with the stuff that you ask him for and he look in your face and see, let it be according to your faith? Will he grant it? Would you get what you asking him for? Or would you walk off and be mad because since your faith is small, he don't grant it to you? Or would you do like some of them people said and say, Lord, help me with my unbelief? See, these are questions that you need to ask yourself. Because these are reasonable questions that I want you to ask yourself. You understand? Because I want you to hear that again. Blessed is she that believe, for there shall be a performance of those things which are told her from Yahuwah. Now, we just talked about that for 3 weeks. Blessed are those who have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen yet believe. Because we didn't see Yahushua resurrect from the dead. Psalms 116 is a continued extension of us reading about his resurrection from the dead. You didn't see that. So again, that's an example that if you die, let your resurrection be according to your faith. When you ask him for knowledge, wisdom, understanding, will he grant it to you according to your faith? Or are you asking for money? Better call. Stop. I ain't knocking you if you ask for churn. Some of y'all are like, I ain't asking for no churn. Get that thought out your head. Or you end up like Job with no churn. Around here sad and dust and ashes. Got to be careful the things that you utter in your heart, much less out your mouth. Because I'm telling you, man, when you don't appreciate stuff, who will take it from you? Just to let you know that he in control. That he's almighty and that he rules amongst the children of men and gives unto men as he see fit. You're not in control. You ain't got no say. You don't dictate nothing. You can't even dictate if you're going to take your next breath. So you have to get that stuff out your mind. You're not in control. Like I said, I go to the same thing with the masculine woman. She want control. She want to control what go on in the house. You're not going to control what go on in the house. Not in that house. That's a man. He going to rule. And you ain't got to like it. You're going to be a lonely hoe. I was telling you earlier, man. I seen the brother say this here, and this the truth. You ain't never heard of no 50-year-old man talking about who going to marry me. How am I going to find a wife now? You only hear that from women. But when they get older, they hit that wall, don't nobody want them. And I'm telling you, there's a reason why don't nobody want you. It's the same way why Elohim rejected and didn't want you for a season and say, you are not my people. You refuse to obey. So he gonna get you from around him. Don't end up like no Vashti and get cut off. And I ain't talking about just no woman with her husband. Don't be like no Vashti and get cut off. Don't let Yahoo cut you because you want to dictate and control the rules of engagement. Don't let that happen to you. Because it ain't no need to happen to you. That ain't his desire. His desire is for you to rejoice and to reign with him. Let's continue in Luke chapter 1, verse 46. Mary say, my soul do magnify you, Lord. My ruach have rejoiced in Elohim, my Savior. For he have regarded the low estate of his handmaid. For behold, from henceforth all general things, and Kadash is his name. And his mercy is on them that fear him from generation to generation. He showed strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the imagination of their hearts. He has put down the mighty from their seats and exalted them of low degree. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he hath sent empty away. He have hope in his servant Yasharal in remembrance of his mercy, as he spake to our fathers, to Abraham, and to his seed forever. And Mary abode with her about 3 months and returned to her own house. Now I'm mentioning that here, what is in my mind. This is the song of Mary. There's a song of Deborah. And there's a song of Miriam. Now for you women, ain't nothing wrong with y'all doing what this woman just did right here. If you want to sit back and do something like that in the household with your children, by all means, baby, go ahead and let it do what it do. You know what I'm talking about? You go ahead and sing a song to you who are in front of your children. Don't be ashamed. You ain't doing nothing wrong. Don't be ashamed. This is the song of Deborah right here, right? This Judges 5:1. I'm going to read the whole thing. It's 31 verses, so I'm going to read the whole thing. Let me let you know that right now. I'm going to read the whole thing. You just heard the song of Mary. Listen to that song of Deborah. Because if you want to praise Elohim in front of your children, then by all means. Now, of course, these women drop prophecy. I can't tell you if you know. I ain't going to tell you you dropping no prophecy. I'm not going to tell you that lie. You'll know if you're a prophet. Because if you ain't showed up and you know in no vision or no dream, and you know you open your mouth and say you know prophetess and lie on that man, but you're going to have to deal with that. I ain't going to call you no lie. Till your prophecy don't come to pass. You know what I'm talking about? Then you're going to be a lie. But if you want to sing songs of praise to your Elohim in front of your churn, I say by all means. Judges 5:1. Then sang Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinon, on that day saying, Hallelujah, for the avenging of Yasharal, when the people willingly offered themselves. Hear, O you kings, and give ear, O you princes, I, even I, who sing unto Yahuwah. I will sing praise to Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal. Yahuwah went out of Seir. When you marched out of the field of Edom, the earth trembled. The heavens dropped. The clouds also dropped water. Y'all know that's Isaiah 63. Y'all know that's Ezekiel 35. You know that's Zechariah 14. The mountains melted from before Yahuwah, even at Sinai, from before Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal. This is Yahushua's return now. In the days of Shamgar, the son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the highways were unoccupied, and the travelers walked through the byways. The inhabitants of the village. Hold on, y'all remember that with the byways? I forgot what that word meant. Because you know that what them what you call them, boy? The one West boy, they like to say you got to go through the highways and byways. Ain't that what they tell you? If you ain't out there teaching in the highways and byways, well, byways, my good friends, is Akakal, which is a winding way. So it's telling you that the travelers walk through sin. What it means, I'm going to tell you that the highways were unoccupied, because you know that's what they tell you. They tell you, oh, you ain't preaching in the street. That, of course, is a rock, and that is your way of living. They were so your way of living was unoccupied, which is kadal, which means you had ceased or you left off to live correctly. And then you decided to be a traveler in a crooked pathway. Oh, I'm thinking about that's what it was, rehearsing the righteous acts. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's continue. The inhabitants of the villages ceased, they ceased in Yasharal until that I, Deborah, arose, a mother in Yasharal. Oh, yeah, you know, we ran across GMF around here. Them boys be down there messing with the people. That boy was the definition of an idiot. Well, that was a definition of an idiot. We say, right? They chose new gods. Then was war in the gates. There was a shield or a spear seen among 40,000 of Yasharal. My orders towards the governors of Yasharal that offer themselves willingly among the people. Bless you, Yahuwah. Speak you that ride on white asses, you that sit in judgment and walk by the way. They all delivered from the noise of the archers in the place of the drawing water. There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahuwah, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of his villages in Yasharal. Then shall the people of Yahuwah go down to the gate. See, that's their line, right? You got to rehearse the righteous acts. Rehearse here is tanah. That is to tell again. To rehearse means to celebrate or commemorate or to recount. So again, that's just preaching the gospel, man. That's just preaching the gospel. Because you know it's a doc for righteous. The doc to be specific. Listen what it says. Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, utter a song. Arise, Barak, lead your captivity captive, you son of Abinon. Y'all know Psalm 78 say he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Take it back to what we read in Psalms 116. Bow down your ear and hear. Let's continue. Then he made him that remain have dominion over the nobles among the people who have made me have dominion over the mighty. Out of Ephraim was there a root of them against Amalek after you. Benjamin among your people. Out of Mashir came down governors out of Zebulun, they that handled the pen of the writer. The princes of Issachar were with Deborah, even Issachar and also Barak. He was sent on foot in the valley, for the divisions of Reuben were great thoughts of heart. Why abode you among the sheepfolds to hear the bleatings of the flocks? For the divisions of Reuben, there were great searchings of the heart. Look at what the thing right is here, right? Reuben had a great thought of the heart. We look at thought is again, this is kakek. This is a decree, a resolve, a statute, an action prescribed. It was something that was prescribed in their heart. That take you back to being chosen. Then with Reuben, you got a great searching of the heart. Again, so now you go back to what we were talking about before, which is an investigation. Yahuwah gonna search your heart out. That also takes back to something that happened in the book of Joshua. Nevertheless, Gilead abode beyond Jordan. Why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued on the seashore and abode in his breaches. Zebulun and Naphtali were people that jeopardized their lives unto death in the high places of the field. The kings came and fought the kings of Canaan and Tanakh by the waters of Megiddo. They took no gain of money. They fought from heaven. Stars in their courses fought against Sisera. The river of Kishon swept them away, the ancient river. The river Kishon, O my soul, you have trodden down strength. Then were the horseshoes broken by the means of prancings, the prancings of their mighty ones. Curse you, Merah, said the angel of Yahuwah. Curse you bitterly, the inhabitants thereof, because they came not to the help of Yahuwah, to the help of Yahuwah against the mighty. Blessed above all, but blessed above when shall Jael, the wife of Ebar the Kenite, be blessed. She shall be above women in the tent. He asked water, she gave him milk. She brought forth butter in a lordly dish. Now, before all of that, you're dealing with people coming down to fight against these sinners, Babylon, the beast, whatever you want to look at it. Then it shifts to this woman who put a nail through a man's head. You can read that in the 4th chapter. You can read that on your own time. Starts at about verse 22. No, a little bit before that. And you can pick it up probably about verse 16, somewhere in there. It also tell you about when he asked for water, she gave him milk. That take you what's in Proverbs about how to treat your enemies. She put her hand to the nail, her right hand to the workman's hammer, and with the hammer she smote Sisera. She smote off his head, and when she had pierced and stricken through his temples, at her feet he bowed, he fell and he lay down. At her feet he bowed, he fell where he bowed, and there he fell down dead. The mother of Sisera looked out the window and cried through the lattice, why is this chariot so long in coming? Why tarry the wheels of his chariot? See, that's how people right there, why he takes so long? Remember, that's Luke 18. Her wise ladies answered her, yea, she returned answer to herself. Have they not spared? Have they not divided the prey? Every man a damsel or two? The sister a prey of diverse colors, a prey of diverse colors of needles work, a diverse colors of needles work on both sides, meat for the necks of them that take spoil. So let all your enemies perish, O Yahuwah. Let them that love you be as the sun when he go forth in his might. And the ram had rest 40 years. Look at how it ends, though. Let them that love you shine as the sun in his might. Because you worrying about where he at. He's delaying his coming. He ain't came yet. These people coming to kill us. These people ain't doing this here. Because you don't want to wait on Yahuwah. Come over here to Exodus 15. I think that's a long one. We're probably not going to read that. That's numbers. I just seen the 15 and I'm like, oh, that is not what we're looking for. Well, no, we don't got to read all that. Yahuwah shall reign forever and ever. For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots, with his horsemen into the sea. Yahuwah brought the waters of the sea upon them, but the sons of Yasharal went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand. And when all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances, Miriam answered them, sing you to Yahuwah, for he have triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider he hath thrown into the sea. I didn't want you to see that there, man. You got 3 women. You know who all of them is. And they were singing to Yahuwah. So you can sing to Yahuwah too. I know some of you ask, hey, man, what can I say to the children? Or you can sing about Yahushua to your children. That you can do. And it is encouraged and highly recommended. I think we finished Psalms 116. Let me see if we finished. Psalms 116 and verse 17. Psalms 116 verse 17. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and I will call upon the name of Yahuwah. So now you know that he done loosed your bonds from sin and death. Go ahead and offer up that sacrifice of thanks. Don't be scared to do it. Go ahead, right? Don't be scared. Go ahead and give thanksgiving, confession, and praise. Don't have that sacrifice of your lips. It ain't cost you nothing. I will pay my vows unto you who are now in the presence of all his people, of Yahuwah's house in the midst of you, O Jerusalem. Hallelujah. Back over here to Psalm 22. Proverbs 22. I'll come back to verse 17. It says, bow down your ear and hear the words of the wise and apply your heart unto my knowledge. It's a pleasant thing if you keep them within you, and they shall be withal fitted in your lips. Verse 19, that your trust may be in Yahuwah, I have made known to you this day, even to you. Have I not written to you excellent things and counsels and knowledge, that I might make you know the certainty of the words of truth, that you might answer the words of truth to them that send unto you. Now, I'll leave you with this before we depart. We talked about counsel before. I want you to meditate on that word, moatza. It's your counsel, it's your plan, it's your principle, it is your device. He said, I have given you count, have I not written to you excellent things? And when it tells you, have I not written to you, it is not you there. It is Shilshon, which is in times past. Have I not written to you in times past excellent things? Which is Shalesh, which is a third part or a measure. Keep that in mind. He said that I might make known to you the certainty. I want you to pause. I want you to think about certainty. It is Kochet. We will visit this, y'all willing, on tomorrow. It's Kuf, Sean, and Tet. This is something that is evenly weighed, a balanced truth. Something that is evenly weighed. Have I not made known to you a just weight and a just balance when he talks about certainty? Just want you to sit back and think on that, because that's what we're going to pick up at. And that's what we're going to focus on tomorrow. Have I not written to you excellent things and counsels and knowledge, that I might make you know the certainty of the words of truth, that you might answer the words of truth to them that send unto you? Of course, before that your trust may be in Yahuwah, because you bow down your ear. Now, when we go through all that, that means that we're going to take a lot of stuff with Yahusha. Come over here to 1 Corinthians chapter 2, and we're going to weigh it. And we're going to weigh it according to the standard that you see right here in 1 Corinthians chapter 2. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 12. Matter of fact, make it verse 11. Y'all willing, we may revisit some of those things in the Song of Deborah, but we're going to weigh it, because you're going to have to know the certainty, or the balanced verity, or the balanced truth. We're going to have to weigh it. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. For what man knows the things of a man save the ruach of a man which is in him? Even so the things of Elohim know no man but the ruach of Elohim. Now we have received not the ruach of the world, but the ruach which is of Elohim, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of Elohim, which things also we speak not in the words which man's wisdoms teach, but which the Ruach HaKodesh teach, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. Now, that's how we have to do. That's how we have to weigh it. Let's look at something else. 2 Corinthians chapter 13. 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and then John chapter 14. 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 3. So if we're going to know the certainty of the word, that means we're going to have to weigh it. So we're going to take the time and weigh it. That's why I said I didn't want to start that, because we were not going to complete that task this evening. That's he says, since you seek proof of Mashiach speaking in me, which to your is not weak, but is mighty in you. But though he was crucified through weakness, that he lived by the power of Elohim, which we read in Psalms 116. For we were also weak in him, but we shall live with him by the power of Elohim toward you. Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith, prove your own selves. Know not your own selves how that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, except you be reprobates. But I trust that you shall know that we are not reprobates. Now I pray to Elohim that you do no evil, not that we should appear approved, but that you should do that which is honest, though we be as reprobates. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. For we are glad when we are weak, and you are strong, and this also we wish, even your perfection. So examine yourselves. The only thing that you could be able to balance and examine yourself is by the text. You're going to have to compare yourself with the word. And notice what he said. He said, I pray that you do no evil, not that we should be a peer approved. Because you can't do nothing against the faith. You can't do nothing before it. People think even when they do stuff against the word, that they're doing something against the word. Now you're doing something for it. You're just not wise enough to know that's what you're doing. But see, that's the beauty of the wisdom of Elohim. They make a fool out those who profess themselves to be wise, because that's what they need to do. You got niggas who get mad at you for serving Yahuwah and then say they talking to ancestors. How stupid is that? You around here talking about dead niggas. You mock people who serve Yahuwah, you talking to dead niggas. The John's so crazy, people come up with all manner of stuff to justify playing with crystals and all this, that, there, and the third. Don't nobody trust in Yahuwah for no healing. Nobody don't trust in Yahuwah for nothing. For nothing. That's why they got to mock and ridicule. You have to learn to let. That's your business. That is your business. You know what I'm saying? But your life on the line. Regardless of what you might think, your life is on the line. John chapter 14. Well, we want John 14. I don't want John 14. Let's use John 16 to get on out of here. 13 is the verse. I might could have used 15, but I ain't going to do it. Matter of fact, I am going to use both. John 15 and 26. John 15 and 26. He said, but the Comforter is, when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from Abba, even the Ruach of truth, which goes back to what we seen. God compare spiritual things with spiritual. Can't do nothing against the truth. I've come to make you know the certainty of the words of truth. I want you to keep all that in your mind, which proceed from Abba. He shall testify of me. He shall bear witness because you have been with me from the beginning. See, that takes us back to what we read in Judges 5 with Reuben. Had great thoughts. These were already ascribed. Look here, man. Paul wrote, which of course you'll know from Psalms, that you have been chosen to salvation from the beginning. If you chosen from salvation from the beginning, you've been with the man from the jump street. It was already ascribed in your heart that you were going. That's why I asked you that earlier. But did you call out to the man about this, that, and the third? Even if you did, it don't matter. If it's already prescribed in your heart, you coming for it. You coming for it. He didn't already put it there. He didn't already put it there. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And I ain't talking about you coming and saying you there. I'm talking about if you're going to be saved. He didn't already put it there. You've been with him from the beginning. He already put it there. See, you know what a lot of people be doing? And it's the same thing that was in that thread about how women walk away from love. See, women want to walk away from love when she don't feel like she's getting benefit that she wants. So she determined it's not love. So she'll walk away. See, one thing that you have with love is, see, love don't go away. It just stops being nurtured. That's all that happened. You know what I'm saying? Or it was never there. Just one or two. You don't walk away from love. You either never loved them or you just refuse to nurture the love. So therefore, the love can't grow. And that's the man's job to do that. That's why a lot of times you see men always pressing to keep something going. Because men just don't love people just to do it, if that's what they've committed to doing. See, again, that's another misnomer and propaganda in the earth. That men just walk away from love. Now, man walk away, he didn't love you to begin with. He didn't love you to begin with. But that's not something that men do. Men don't invest that type of energy into something just to discard it. But a woman will walk right on away and go fool with another nigga as if you never existed. Because that's how they wire. As a man, you have to just deal with that. You can't be mad and get upset and this, that, and the third. That's their nature. That's how they made. They will walk away from you as if nothing happened. And how do we know that? Because Yasharal walked away from you more times than we can count. He never did it. He said it, he said he spread his hands out. He sought by people who ain't called by his name. He spread forth his hands to rebellious, gainsaying people who provoke him to anger continually to his face. See, all I can do is refer it back to Yahuwah because you did that as a people. What I'm talking about, the nature of a woman, you did it. You just didn't realize you did it. That's why I say, number one, understand their nature. When you understand their nature, then you understand that that's flesh. When you understand that that's flesh, you can have compassion on that. Have compassion on you. Not to be no fool now. Because if they want to return to folly, then you got to go ahead and let them crash in folly. See, that's what he told you in Psalms. He said, don't let them return to folly now. If you don't repent it, don't go back to no folly. Don't do that. That's not being condoned. Don't you do that. That just don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? But what we're talking about is Yasharal did that. You walked away from love because you were more worried about your desires and what you wanted. That's why he asked you in Micah, plead with me face to face. What I done did to you? And anything that you're gonna have to say is gonna be superficial. I was talking about it earlier too, because we ran across a video where a dude was comparing, giving his commentary. It was in the YouTube feed, man, about that dude Derrick Jackson. And I was talking about this here, man. A lot of dudes got a problem with that dude. That's neither here nor there. The thing with Derrick Jackson, or anybody for that matter, is you got to pay attention to what they're saying. That's even with somebody with the word. Who will tell you this? You got to pay attention to what they're saying. See, a lot of dudes be like, oh, he's a panderer. And he very well may be. I don't disagree with that assessment. But my point is this. He says a lot of words, but when you pay attention to those words and critique those words according to the subject matter that he is discussing, the nigga ain't saying nothing. The reason why most people can't actually pay attention that he ain't saying nothing because you're listening to this person from an emotional state of mind. The average woman is listening to him because they feel that he's going to justify how they feel. The average dude is upset with him because they feel like he's man bashing and pandering to women and simping. So you don't take the time to dissect, to point out the folly in his speech. See, that's what you're not doing. Because you're being two-dimensional, you're being emotional, you're not being three-dimensional, you're not being a critical thinker, you're not really sitting down, listening to and assessing the words that are coming out of a person's mouth that is complete and utter rubbish and gibberish. We do the same thing with people with the word. So when we're going to go through what we're going through, I will on tomorrow, of the certainty of the words of truth, and comparing spiritual things with spiritual, or making it a just balance and a just weight, which is the delight of Yahuwah according to the word. That means you could be able to assess when any word is coming, that you could be able to critically assess if this person is saying a whole lot of nothing or if there's substance and weight to their words. You understand? That's why I listened to this dude describe the characteristics of a wife and a husband, and it was pure and utter folly. Utter folly. Like the nigga didn't say nothing of any substance whatsoever. Complete and emotional gibberish. I heard this man say, why do women overlook good men? Complete and utter folly, to the point that if you have working neurons in your brain, if you have working brain cells in your brain, you would just disregard this individual all the way around the board as a highly unintelligent person. And anyone who would take heed to this man would have to borderline on being imbecilic. You know what I'm saying? Like not being funny or nothing. Like you would really have to sit back and look at yourself and say, am I an imbecile that put any type of weight to this man's words? Because this nigga ain't said nothing. And I say that because we have to look at people who bring the word in that fashion. Am I an imbecile? Am I an imbecile right now? Because I'm not. Remember what he told you. Well, he didn't tell you. Well, he did tell you. In Acts 17 about those men of Thessalonica, that they were more noble than those in Berea because they searched the scriptures daily to see if them things were so. I'm telling you this here because you have to remove your emotional thought patterns and incantations and imprints and all that things out of your mind when people are talking to you, and really pay attention and assess the words that they're saying to you. As once as Tupac was quoted, just don't bob your head to the beat. Listen to the words. Is that real to you? You know what I'm saying? Is that real to you? Just don't sit there and be like, yeah, yeah, he's saying so. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a male improvement coach. I don't care if it's a dude speaking. It doesn't matter. Just don't bob your head to the beat. Is that real to you? Is that real conversation to you? Are those real words to you? Is this something that actually can be added for the improvement and benefit of a person's physical existence, whether natural or spiritual? Is that real to you? Because when we sit down and we assess a lot of the things that people say out their mouth, well, that stuff ain't real, my G. That stuff ain't real. And we dealing with the realest of the real. And how we deal with the realest of the real, and we judge the word by the word. So you're going to see the second part of that verse. Some of you I already know are spry enough and wise enough to already look those words up. And I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to go through that of what that means. Because when you are certain of the words of truth, they have a maximum benefit for those who have an ear for it. That's why I told you women, sing songs to Yahuwah and Yahushua in front of your churn. Let them see you rejoice and have that type of trust and hope in Elohim. See, matter of fact, I meant to read this here, 2 Timothy chapter, because this is going to tie back into it too. I'd be remiss if I left this out. First Timothy. Growth. Needed a few more verses there, everybody. Come on down a little bit. Verse 12. 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 12. 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 12. Shoot, you could make it verse 10. 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 10. But it's now made manifest by the appearing of our Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach, who have abolished death and have brought life and immortality to the light through the gospel. Whereunto I am appointed a preacher and an apostle and a teacher of the Gentiles. For the which cause I also suffer these things, nevertheless I am not ashamed. For I know whom I have believed. Again, I am not ashamed, for I know whom I have believed, and am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. What have you committed unto him? What we read in Psalms 116, you committed your life. Because you've committed in your life, you've taken that cup of salvation, you've called upon the name of Yahuwah, you're going to pay your vows, and you're going to sacrifice the sacrifice of thanksgiving. Let's continue. Hold fast the form of sound words which you have heard of me, and faith and love which is in Yahushua HaMashiach, the good thing which was committed unto you, keep by the Ruach HaKadosh which dwell in us. Let's reread that again. Hold fast the form of sound words, sound meaning healthy, which you have heard of me in faith and love, which is in Mashiach Yahushua, that good thing which was committed unto you, keep by the Ruach HaKadosh, which dwell in us. You know what I'm saying? And when we get back into knowing the certainty of the words of truth, we're going to have to hold that stuff fast. It's a good thing. When the word given to you is been committed to you for you to hold it. So if you hold it and you say, I believe in Yahushua, well, sis, go ahead and sing in front of your churn. You ain't got to be worried about this, that, that, and the third. You're just singing of his wonderful works and what he done and what he gonna do. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, let your daughters hear that. Let your sons hear that. Because guess what they gonna do? They gonna do what you do. They gonna do what you do. Let them see you have that same hope and rejoicing in his promise, that you know that there's an end and your expectation won't be cut off, and they'll have that same hope. I told you before, if they see you pray, they'll pray. If they see you pray when you eat, they'll do it. If you pray as a group, they'll look to do it. They following your lead. Which way is you leading them? Which way is you guiding them? You see how we keep reading what Solomon telling to his son, son, come to bow down your ear and listen to my wisdom. So I don't care if that boy is 6 months old or 16 years old. You better call him to your feet, tell him, son, sit down and catch this wisdom I got to give you. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Before I knew anything about no gospel, I already had that said in my son. Teach this nigga every day, every single solitary day. There's certain things that I'm not gonna teach my daughter that I sit down and teach my son. If I ain't got no choice, I give my daughter the same thing. But my boy, oh, that nigga going through stringent training. A training that you, oh, every single solitary day, son, come sit down with me. I got something to tell you. I got some wisdom to give you. I got to give it to you. I got to pour every bit of wisdom and understanding I got into your ears before I leave this earth. I got to do it. I got to form you and fashion you in my image, son, and send you on out here so you could keep it moving, so you could keep fighting the same war your daddy started fighting, so you could keep on fighting. That's why when we tell you about having sons, that's what the women don't understand that. I can't send my daughter out here to fight no wars. What war she gonna fight? What wisdom she gonna give? That ain't her job. That ain't her place. I need about 3, 4 of them so that I can haunt the world in every cutting corner of the earth. I need about 3, 4 of them. You know what I'm talking about? Send them on out there, boy. I done trained your son. Go on out there and drop that word on them people, boy. You make sure you get to them and you get to it straight and you get to them strong. So they can know Yahushua is the son of Elohim and Yahuwah is Almighty One. And you make sure you let them know. You give them every bit of wisdom I gave you. And you don't hold nothing back. That's what I leave with you, boy. You go ahead and you crack their skulls with it and you stand on it. And if you dishonor the family name, I hope he cut your whole head off your shoulders and play kickball with it, you wicked bastard. Because we ain't teach you like that. Me nor your mammy taught you that college. Don't go around here. Don't you dishonor this family name by doing anything of the sort. Nigga, because all that other stuff, nigga, I don't care about none of that. I don't care about no birthday parties, nigga. I don't care about all that extra stuff. We can do all that. I ain't got no problem with it, but it's not no priority to me. I genuinely do not care. My job and duty is to train that boy to be a soldier in the army of the Lord. And if you will see fit, that's what I'm going to do. Period, point blank. That's what I'm going to do. All the extra stuff means nothing. It means absolutely nothing to me. I don't care about none of that. That's not my job. My job's not to throw him no party. My job ain't to take him nowhere. My job is to train him to be a soldier in the army of the Lord. That's what he put me here for. That's how every man ought to look at his son and feel that if you serve Yahuwah. My job and duty in life, son, is to train you to be a soldier in the army of the Lord. Everything else is irrelevant. Son, you're going to be a soldier in the army of the Lord. You better be ready to fight, boy. You better be ready to fight. What greater honor you can have than that Yahuwah give you a son that you can train him to be a soldier in the army of the Lord. Oh, man, that don't get no more beautiful than that. You train to be a soldier for Yahuwah? That's why you got to call him, son. Get this wisdom. Why Solomon kept calling his sons over there. Come get it now. I got it for you. I'm the wisest man ever lived. Boy, you better come get this work. Boy, I got something for you. Come sit down at my feet. That's why it's imperative as a man that you get as much wisdom and understanding that you can give so you can pass it on to your seeds, so your seed can pass it on to their seeds, and so on and so forth. And that Yahuwah be praised from generation to generation. He going to be praised from generation to generation regardless. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be praised from generation to generation regardless. But if Yahuwah see fit that your stock, that your seed, that your bloodline be a part of that generation that exalts and honors and esteems his name. With that being said, hallelujah for Yahushua. Praise be to the living Elohim and bless his Kadesh Shabbat. Thank Elohim for the word. I appreciate y'all time. Again, we're gonna weigh it out. See how this things work out, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's think back and think about the goodness of Yahuwah, man. He heard your supplication and cry and delivered your soul from death. What will you do for him? How will you render unto him for his acts of grace towards you? Go ahead and take that cup. I ain't talking about just taking that cup on no doggone Passover. It's bigger than drinking wine on Passover. It's bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. Yeah, it's a part of the play, but it's bigger than that. It's taking in the salvation is in the covenant. You know what I'm saying? The salvation ain't in the cup of wine that we drink on the 14th day of the first month. The salvation in the covenant. That's where the salvation at. So go and take the cup. And when you take the cup, then do what you say you were going to do. As for me and my house, we will serve Yahuwah. You're going to do and say what you're going to do. Pay your vow. Give thanks to the man name, man. It ain't no shameful thing, man. To say praise Yahuwah, thank Yahuwah. In the name of Yahushua, ain't no big deal. Ain't no big deal to go through the house singing no songs. Let them come out your chest. Ain't no big deal to speak of them wonderful words. Because knowing some of y'all turn, they're going to go right out there and around everybody they know and repeat it. And you ought to be proud. If somebody come back and say, your son was around here talking about the Lord raised from the dead, Yahuwah going to come through and crush the wicked and save the righteous. That ought to make your heart rejoice. Make your soul glow, as the movie say. Make you feel good on the inside. Make you feel good. Well, my son out here, my son or daughter out here, proclaiming the goodness of Yahuwah. What's the shame in that? Because that's going to make other people uncomfortable. You care about them being uncomfortable? Let them people be uncomfortable in their sin. They ought to be uncomfortable. Them children ought to be willing to be like this. Say, yeah, man, my God gonna come save us. How you know? Because that's what he said, nigga. That's how I know. Of course, they gonna say, my daddy told me that. Or my mama was singing this song. Some of y'all children already be checking some of y'all people about stuff they be doing. Oh, we don't do that. Why you doing that? That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Some people will look at it as you brainwashing them kids, but in reality, they are committing to heart that there's just a way that we live that's not according to the way that you live, and I don't have a desire to do that. You know what I'm saying? And you want to implant that in their brain, so when they get around their peers, that they won't consent to them. That's the whole purpose. I've been telling y'all that for years. You got to train them now. You can't wait till they get a certain age and then go out here in the world. They're not going to be ready. You don't train a soldier right before they go to war. You get them prepared for war long before you send them. Long before you send them. It's war out here. It's a war for your soul. The book tell you that. It's spiritual warfare out here. It's a war for your soul. You gotta train them now. Because the world coming for them. And we gotta be armored up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta and some musar and some chastening and disciplining and instruction. You gotta get to them. And I ain't talking about discipline about whooping their behind. Every chance you get a chance to chastise them and show them that a behavior or a way is not correct, you make sure you let them know why it's not correct and why they shouldn't take that route, because that's what you will do. That's how you show them the way that they should go and teach them the profit. That's not the way you get gain, son. That's not how you do it. That's what your God do for you. All we got to do is just follow his lead. But again, I bless y'all at the house. Yahuwah in the name of Yahweh. I appreciate your time. Yahuwah willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow. They can do what it do. Remember, man, trumpets is approaching. Trumpets is approaching. Get yourself prepared. It's a double up. Make sure you got yourself right. Well, not a double up, but a back to back. So no, it's back to back. Get yourself right. Get yourself tight. Make sure you get your cars fueled up properly. Get you enough vittles to get you through. Of course, the location for that night has already been established. So I don't know what they're gonna cook and all that. They'll tell me that when they're done with it. Don't really matter to me. But you who are willing though, we get it all lined up and tightened up, man. I think because trumpets is on a regular Sabbath, we getting close to going back to 8 o'clock. We ain't there yet, but it's coming. So, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so Friday night, that Friday probably be regular unless everybody wants to adjust and do differently. So the location for trumpets already set. That means that we already had that regular Saturday afternoon joint. So y'all willing 9 times out of 10, I'll probably cut that a little earlier because that Saturday night we're going to start at 8 p.m. No, there will be no service on Sunday afternoon. No, somebody probably will ask. No, no service on Sunday afternoon. No service on Sunday afternoon. So we'll probably start at 8 o'clock And no problem. We'll start at 8 o'clock for trumpets on that Saturday night. For that atonement Monday night, do 8:30. We'll do 8:30 because I know everybody got to do what they got to do and wrap their stuff up. It's starting to get darker a little early around here, so we'll split the difference. Do it at 8:30. That 29th, they ain't had no service in the daytime. Y'all know what we got to do, so there won't be no service that afternoon. At least not on camera. We might kick some word around in the flesh, but not on camera. So you who are willing, till tomorrow.